What is up, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to the Fantasy Chopping Block. How's it going, guys? I'm here today. My name is Sean. I'm here today with my good buddy Connor, back from vacay. How you doing, brother?
What's up? Yeah, glad to be back. Haven't been on in a while, so.
Yeah, right. It's been a minute, man. We all kind of forgot what you look like. It looks like your hair grew out a lot while you were gone too. That time
Just
to
a
hit
little
that
bit.
barber, now you're back, huh?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, mine's the same way right now too. My hair's growing out like crazy. I might just let it go through the winter and see what happens, right? But so, what did you think of that game that we just got done watching tonight, huh? With Rams and Dolphins going to town. Dolphins actually playing like they were expected to play to start the year, and Rams playing, kind of about what they expected from start the year. So,
Yeah.
what do you think? How that outcome went? Do you think that's going to change things as far as the NFL, landscape is considered?
Well, I mean, the Rams needed that win to basically stay in their division running. I think they were like one game back to the 2 seed, so they're now like 2 games back at like the 2 seed or whatever it is. So the Dolphins really haven't, competed too hard. I mean, they've been missing Tua, so maybe they can get back into the playoff contention. I don't know. I mean, they have some rough games ahead too, so.
Yeah, they got a couple of tough ones. I mean, they got Houston coming up. That's going to be a tough one. They get a little bit of a basic bye week next week with the Raiders flying all the way to Miami. I'm pretty sure that's not going to go well for the Raiders. But
yeah,
then after that, they got a little bit of a stretch run there that's not looking too pretty for them. So New England's in there too, so they might have a easier time with them potentially. But New England, they're looking better. Their defense is still solid, so. It's not like they're a pushover squad at this point. So, I mean, it could be tough for them, and then, of course, they still have Buffalo in their division who, did another good game this week and beaten on Indianapolis. So, Buffalo is basically, I think, a couple of wins away from being out of reach at this point for them. So, it's going to be tough for division, but the AFC wildcard's wide open. So, it doesn't mean that they can't easily get back in that race.
Yeah, there's still a couple. They're 3-7 now or something like that. So I mean, they're still pretty.
I think they're 4-6. I think they're
4-6
after this win. I think they were 3-6 in this game going in, or no, 2-6 going in. I think they're 3-6 now.
3-6, yeah.
So
I mean, there's still a few games below 500. I mean, their skill players are still not putting up what they should. Tyreek, Achane, Waddle. Those guys aren't really producing like we thought they would in the beginning of the year. So,
yeah, absolutely not. I mean, hopefully, we'll have a get right game with the whole Tyreek Tua connection next week, and we can get some love on our fantasy playing from Tyreek. But I don't know if it'll be a consistent thing for the whole season. It sucks to say, he might be a matchup play the rest of the way through, depending on how Miami looks. So we'll see what happens to me. He got that lucky touchdown today. Otherwise, he wouldn't have had a very good line at all.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, but it's still hard to bench, guys like that,
even
if they're not producing that this year. But yeah,
I'm with you. What's up, Zoobs? What's up, Cheeky? 2 of our regulars in here saying hi. Everybody's all excited to see you, Connor.
Yeah.
So, man, we won't get too crazy into what's went on this weekend, because we're going to do that tomorrow on Tuesday's episode. But, it's always fun to kind of talk a little bit about the Monday game and how that went, since it was fresh in our minds and everything, when we get going on this. The one other guy that I did want to talk about in this game was Kyren Williams, man. That guy looked good, even though he really didn't end up with like a huge night. He looked really, really good. And with Kupp and Puka out there, like keeping defenses spread apart and not stacking boxes on him, I think that we could have a really strong back end of the season out of Kyren that could potentially push him into that potential RB1 territory. What do you think? You think he's got a chance at it if they, stay healthy on the outside like that?
Like RB1 season overall, or just like an RB, like a top 12 guy?
No, I mean, he's close right now, right? I mean, look where he's at right now. He's probably sitting at 4, I think it is, I want to say right now, or maybe even 3.
Before this week, which I think he only got 11 points. He was at 10th. So
he's probably still sitting in that top 12.
Yeah, he'll probably be right around 6 or 7 after this game, because he didn't really, he had 10 or 12 points or something like that, or 11. So I mean, I don't
Yeah,
think push up
11.
to like the Derrick Henrys, the Kamaras, the Saquon Barkleys, anything this
Yeah.
this back half of
Are
the
you
year.
worried about Barkley at all with this game, or do you think this was just a one-off?
I think. Am I worried about Barkley?
Yeah.
No, not really. I think this was a one-off. I mean, they played around with the Cowboys, honestly. So I don't think too much of it because he's had such a good year. But I mean, he's still a top 5 play for me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I would just be, I was just wondering if you would actually be concerned that it would be like a potential trend coming up where he'll have a few games like this, maybe at the worst time in your fantasy leagues, coming on the stretch run here.
No, I think they were more, trying not to get him injured against such a bad team. Honestly, I mean, the Cowboys look absolutely terrible, offense and defense wise. They didn't look great. He had his second least amount of carries that game. So, like I said, I think they were just trying to only play 51% of the snaps. I think that was mostly what it was. They knew they were going to beat up on the Cowboys, especially with Dak going down. That offense looking terrible. Jerry Jones doesn't seem to care too much. So,
I think Jerry's just waiting for the season to end so he can hire Bill.
I think he's just waiting for his life to end. To be honest with you, he doesn't really care anymore.
That's too much, man. That's too much, man.
No, he's honestly. I think all Cowboys fans have been waiting for him to go for a long time, one way or the other. Whether it's him, unfortunately, passing or him handing off hit the team to his son. So.
I mean, do you think that's going to do any better for him, really, if his son is the one that takes over? Is he going to be any different? Because his son's young.
I don't think it could be worse, honestly. I mean, I think it could be better just because he's been in the football actually like trying to build teams wise a little bit better than Jerry has. I mean, Jerry said he's going all out to win this year and literally made no moves to even, reflect that. They got rid of their best offensive, linemen. Got rid of their running back, their star running back. That's, I mean, not star, I guess, but look decent, and then signed 2 older guys that have, what does Scott call them? Oatmeal pants. So they obviously didn't go all out. Their defense hasn't performed up. I mean, they had some injuries on the defensive line, D-Law and
Parsons was out for a while. Yeah,
Parsons is out like 4 to 6 weeks or something like that. So Bland was hurt at the beginning of the year. He was their star last year. So they had some defensive injuries, but I mean, it's not like their offense was really putting up numbers beforehand either. So
yeah, it's going to be one of those seasons for Dallas. I mean, if I'm Dallas at this point, I just don't want to win so that I can have a better quarterback pick this year. Even though you just take Dak, I'd still take a quarterback in the draft.
They're not taking a quarterback. I think
it'd be stupid not to. Dak's still old either way. They just did it in Atlanta, and they signed Kirk to a similar length deal, and then went and drafted Penix. I
don't think anybody, but nobody was giving the Atlanta flowers for that. I mean, that was like one of the most controversial moves of the offseason.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it's a great move. I'm just saying that it's definitely not out of the realm of possibilities that Dallas.
No, yeah. It's not out of the realm, but I highly doubt that happens with them paying Lamb and Dak this year. They don't have to focus up somewhere else. They're not have to focus offensive line or running back. So,
right? Didn't this happen to Dak too last time? Didn't his severe ankle injury and all that happen shortly after his last contract signing?
I believe so. Something like that. It was like. I mean, I think so. So
didn't he get maybe it was like that off season or something? He got signed to his extension or whatever it was at the time, like from his rookie deal. And
that would make sense. I think this is about 4 years after that. So yeah, I think that would probably be about right.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to look that one up. That's why we're not getting paid to do this. We're all just sitting here having a good time chopping it up with you guys. But if we were part of like an NFL group, we could have a producer in the background that could look that up for us so that we'd have an answer on that before the end of the segment.
Yeah,
but we don't have that, so we're not going to be able to give that answer to you guys.
It's unfortunate though, because there's both very, very weird injuries there. It's not like he was just a crash test dummy. I mean, his ankle got completely out of it.
The guy, man, because he seems like a smart guy and overall like pretty good head on his shoulders type individual. So it sucks that he's got to go through this every single time, but at least it happens after he gets paid, not right before.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he got a lot of the money guaranteed too, so it doesn't really matter if he plays.
All right, it's easy to suffer through like a injury like that when you have $2 million in cash holding your fucking ankle above your heart.
Yeah.
But anyways, so let's roll into one of our guillotine leagues here. Let's bring up our first league. We're going to go ahead and start with my favorite league name, 18 Heads in a Duffel Bag, because they're kind of stuck in the middle, and they always end up talking about them right in the middle. So I said, let's go ahead and make them first out the gate today. So as you can see, we are definitely getting to the point where if you don't get that triple-digit score, you are going to be sent home. It's pretty much impossible to survive if you don't. So, you can look through these teams right now, and you can see that we have only one team under 100 points. And that is, unfortunately, our team that is chopped in this league for the week. And that is a regular player that we have on our Ballsville community. Chiefs Life 13, one of our most experienced guillotine players, is out of here. So all you guys that are left in the Duffel Bag League, not including myself anymore, me and Chiefs Life are now on the sidelines, and you guys can run with this league without worrying about any of us. So congratulations to you survivors. And I believe C-Bomb is one of those. So congratulations to you too, Connor.
What?
For surviving in this league still. Being a team that's
I'm alive. I had to sweat one out. I had to sweat one out in one of the other leagues, but I'm alive in all three so far still. Knock on wood. But yeah, they've been treating me pretty nice. I had a scare in one of the leads that it came down to like the last quarter of this game, but
yeah. And we'll see we're going to go back here and look at the players real quick, but we'll see who Chiefs Life ended up paying for this week that potentially didn't end up pulling their weight for him, because wouldn't be surprised if he didn't pick up a player or two that he had in his starting lineup.
Not just that, I think he made some questionable lineup decisions, trying to do a little too fancy, if I remember correctly. I think he even mentioned it in the chat, like he outthought himself. He tried to get a little tricky with it instead of starting, the typical guys. So I think that might have cost him as well.
Yeah, it looks like it definitely would have been more of a factor, because I don't see him picking up anybody. Now that I say that, I'm just going to go ahead and stick my foot right in my mouth and realize that he didn't pick up much of anybody. So
I think he picked up one person, and that was actually might have been what it cost him, but he didn't pay for him. He got him for free.
Yeah, he got Zach Ertz for $3.
Oh, keep going down. He paid. I guess he did pick up him too, but it's like right at the end of this. Keep going. Wow, he's all the way down here.
Wow, he must have done this transaction just right before
kickoff. Right there. Right before the game started. Aaron Rodgers. He picked up Aaron Rodgers and started him, and he had 4 points.
Oh, and he dropped Mechie, who ended up getting that touchdown too.
Yeah.
So that was a double whammy.
Yeah, I can't believe that. I mean, that was one. I guess that was the last minute move that he made right there. Right before the game started. So.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But you know what? We all do that sometimes. I did the same thing on a couple of lineups. I stuck Mostert in at the last second, which really didn't do much for me. So, yeah, I feel your pain on that one.
Yeah, I think Alex said he got beat by a last-minute MVS pickup or something. I don't remember exactly what the story was, but he picked him up right before the game.
Cheeky snuck through this week too. He was right there at the 101 mark, so he was barely above him and my buddy Ray here with the 760 side team at the 100. Both of them were just above Chiefs. So potentially that move could have been the reason. You're totally right. So this week we had our top guy go off the board was Bijan Robinson. He went for $44. There was 8 total bids on him. The next highest bid was $35. There was a lot of money left in this league, so there was definitely some bidding going on. The next guy who went was Jonathan Taylor. Interestingly enough, Jonathan went for $35 compared to $44 for Bijan, which to me, I don't know if there's a big enough gap for that much of a dollar difference. I would take Jonathan Taylor if I had the choice between the cost of Bijan for that and Taylor for that. I think I'd definitely go Taylor, but I don't hate the price either way. I just think I would pick Taylor over if I had the choice. Looks like he was a pretty high bid compared to everybody else too, so he actually could have snuck Taylor in there at a much more decent price, which I'm not sure why that's the case, to be honest, because they were scheduled to play Buffalo, who at the time, was considered a horrible run defense, even though they basically played well. He still had some good runs too. He just didn't crack the end zone.
I mean, that offense hasn't looked great this year. I think that's part of the reason why. And nobody's trying to
Flacco's pick six on the first pass didn't help.
Yeah, nobody's trying to bet on. Nobody's trying to bet on a Flacco-run offense in 2024. So I don't blame most people.
That's funny. Puka went for $23 to Trevor. That's a good pickup there, I think. He did decent today. You bid on him 2 for 14, next highest bidder. So it looks like he was a little bit sought after. All these guys they got 6-7 bids on every dude. JK went for $13. That seems like that's a good deal. I mean, I know he didn't have a great week, but I still think he's solid play. DeAndre Swift, same thing, $9. I think that's a good price for him. T Higgins. So T Higgins at $8 is. It's one of those, I think it looks like a screaming deal when you look at it on paper, but then you look at what you've dealt with T Higgins this year, and do you even want to deal with that headache at this point? And we're getting down to where he's going to be your 6th best receiver, 5th best receiver anyway, potentially, right?
I mean, I was hoping to get one of the other guys, and so I was just throwing. I think I had before this week, I had the most money left, and so I wanted to pick up somebody to play in a couple of weeks or whatever. But I think T Higgins was the last guy I wanted on the waivers. And so I had just had him there and I ended up winning it for $8 or whatever. But I think I have the second most money left in this league. And I think I had the most points. So I'm not too mad about the pickup, but I much prefer one of the other guys, especially Puka at 23, as it seems like a way better deal than T Higgins.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where it's kind of at this point in the game, there's a lot of money in this league, but in a lot of the in the one specifically that I'm left in now, that there is not. So, that $8 could mean a lot if that gets to the point like that in this league. Exactly. And you're going to the last few weeks trying to get those last few players for your playoffs. So that's basically one of those things you'll just keep an eye on and see. I mean, he might come back and start playing strong for the rest of the season, and then you got yourself a solid player too. So,
I mean, if that Bengals offense, looks like they did this week, it's not. I mean, 55 points for Jamar Chase and 40-some points for Burrow, and
I'm in this crazy scoring league that gives all these big bonuses for long touchdowns, and both Burrow and Jamar Chase each got over 1,000 total points individually.
Yeah, I mean, that's wild.
I didn't even score 1,000 points for the whole week with my whole entire roster, just to give you an idea on how good that is.
Did anybody have them? Did they have them both, or
no? They didn't have them both, dude. Thankfully they didn't have them both, because that would have just blown us away since we're an overall point league. But he had one guy had Burrow, one guy had Chase, so. And then thankfully too, they didn't really have a lot of other players that did well for them the rest of the week either. So they didn't end up with a super high score like you could have easily gotten. But thank God it didn't work out for them in that light, because I would fallen even farther behind. But that's regardless. That's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about guillotine. So the next few players off the board, there really isn't anything that I consider to be too big of a deal to worry about.
I like the Stroud pickup. I mean, I know he hasn't played that well, but I feel like that's still he could, pop back.
Especially with the super flex coming up. Same thing with Stafford. Picking up Stafford there, I think, is a good move. Also, I'm not a huge fan of dropping Keon Coleman to pick up Jordan Mason, even though I know Coleman is out this week and he's already been posted. By the way, he's already going to be out next week. If you guys haven't heard, so if you've got Keon Coleman and you were planning on trying to play him next week, don't. But that's so, I don't think I would have gotten him off my roster for Mason, who is now the backup.
I think they might be trying to bet on McCaffrey not playing this week, because he was still questionable going into the week or whatever. So they were trying to maybe bet on it, maybe take a chance. And like you said, Coleman was already ruled out. So
I see. That makes sense then if it was done at that point. So it looks like it was done early in the week, but maybe they just anticipated that.
Yeah,
Coleman would be out by then. So, other than that, the QJ pickup is looking better and better as the season goes along. Yeah. So I don't hate that at all. Goddard, too. He had another touchdown this week. He doesn't get a lot of targets, but it seems like when he does get them, they're useful targets. So hopefully that will continue a trend with him. I like getting DK for free. I don't know
Yeah.
how you ended up pulling that off. That's
Because
ridiculous.
they were on a bye week, I think, and so nobody was looking for him, I think.
Oh yeah, he might not have popped up on the projected because he
Yeah,
wasn't.
well, I don't know if they have it a bye week or if he was ruled out. I don't remember exactly. But one of the two. He didn't have any projected points.
They were definitely on a bye this week, so
Yeah.
I'm sure that had a factor in it. But solid pickup right there. I mean, you just got DK for free and you paid $8 for T Higgins. How does that feel?
Yeah, basically, I paid $4 for them both. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, right. There you go. You could do it that way if you want to, or you could just say I paid $8 for DK and I got T Higgins for free. That looks even better. So I like getting Justin Herbert free too. Same reason we just talked about QJ. ETN looks like he might be the number one guy again if Bigsby is going to have any injury concern. I know he pulled out of that game early, but he was walking around, so I don't know if he's got any kind of a lingering issue or not. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But if he does end up having an issue, what's that?
The Jags suck too, so I mean,
it's not like you're going to expect the world out of him, but he could be a matchup play if he's going to be the bell cow. Yeah. So Pitts is another guy that I don't mind having on my roster, but other than that, I really don't see anybody that's too exciting to go over. So yeah, that's basically how that pickups went for the week. And then as you can see, Steve Baum, I think you have the highest score overall in this league with the 155-24.
Yeah, I had Jamar Chase, so it wasn't that different. Like you said, I had Jamar Chase, and I think I had I don't know who else I had, maybe Lamar Jackson. So it wasn't like I was pretty comfortable after the first night. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I definitely I have one league with Trevor that I'll mention real quick that I do have the stack Burrow Chase stack in that league. So I had almost 100 points before the end of the day on Thursday. And it was like basically like my game was already over. It was pretty fun to watch that happen.
I don't have Lamar, I have Murray, but Murray went off too. So
yeah. See, and I mean, you can see your roster right here. You had a pretty solid week, going through. You had Murray and Chase, and then basically everybody else just kind of, as long as they gave you just around their average or slightly under for most of them, you were still solid. So
yeah, I had to play Rome Odunze because look at my bench. My bench is like out, and I had to pick up Rome Odunze. So
that's brutal, man. That is brutal.
Mike Evans, Olave, like tons of people that are just like, I'm at the top if you're looking for me. Or you're looking for Chiefs.
No, I'm gonna pull up his roster so we can see a little bit better. You get more guys this way. So this is his starters that he had in for the week. He had Rodgers, which we talked about a minute ago as probably his downfall. Cook, Pollard, St. Brown, Flowers, Gesicki, Dell, and Shakir. So out of those guys right there, I mean, obviously James Cook is the one that stands out to me, and Amon-Ra, like right out the gate, those are the two guys that I think will be the top earners. But you still got some good solid pieces there that are going to command a few bucks.
He has some great people on the bench. He has like a couple people.
Yeah, I was going to get to that.
Yeah. Sorry, I was going to say like he has some guys that
just building the suspense. Oh man, so on his bench he's got Patrick Mahomes and Baker Mayfield, which right now, I mean, I don't know which one of those is going to end up going for more money, but it's probably going to be Baker at this point. Yeah, if they go for anything. And then Eckler, Stevenson, Lamb, Williams, and Ingram on his bench. So, I mean, CeeDee Lamb obviously stands out on that group, but at this point with Dallas, the way they look, I don't know how confident I am in CD rest of the way.
I mean, I view him like I view Malik Neighbors. Like look, he had 10 targets. So I mean, he's going to get his target share. He's going to get the ball forced to him a lot. So
have you been happy to be a Malik Neighbors owner over the last 5 weeks though? I mean, the guy has only scored 3 touchdowns, and I don't think he's scored one since week 4.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like I'm saying obviously Lamb's not in the tier of Jamar Chase or Jefferson the rest of the year, but I'm still saying I'm pretty happy starting him just because he's going to get probably 10 plus targets every week.
How much would you bid on him?
I'm not telling you.
Unless you don't want to tell me because you don't want to give him since you're in the league.
No, I'm good.
That's not right. We need to get you knocked out of a couple of these leagues so that you can talk about your bid amount.
I'll talk about him in my other leagues because I don't have any money in my other leagues. But
right. I mean, depends on where you're at with money right now. I mean, if you're sitting, say you have like, I would
I think I had like
go with
50 bucks.
maybe 10% of 15% of what I got left, maybe.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, I think I have like 50 bucks left. So, I mean, I'm sitting pretty, decent for this time of the year. I mean, I would say I'm probably in the top 2 or 3 with money left. And I think I'm first in points. So,
Yeah.
pretty happy with this team. This is probably my favorite team out of the 3 guillotines. I really haven't had too much controversy, like been stressing about this league at all. But the other ones, like I said, I had squeaked out, I think, the $50 one, and then I squeaked out, I think, last week in the other $25 one. So this one has been my baby, and I still have money left. So the other two, I'm a little worried about the next few weeks. So
You want a cookie?
no, I'm just saying I'm supposed to be talking about the guillotine leads. I'm talking about them.
You're just talking all about how good your team is, and I'm sure all the guys in this league are loving hearing it.
I said this. No. You heard like 1/3 of what I said. I had one good team and then 2 bad teams.
Oh, I love it. Oh man! All right. Well, somebody knocked Trevor. Somebody knocked Connor off of his high horse over here in this league next week. Take him down a peg or 2 at least. Don't let him be the top scorer.
Oh, I'm not. I'm not even top 1. I'm second. Cheeky's in first.
No, I'm talking about your score for the week.
No. Yeah.
We don't want you in the top slot anymore. I'm going to knock you down a peg or 2. All right, let's move into the Braveheart League. That is our $50 league. So I have been out of this league for a very long time now, but I keep up with it because I like the way that this thread goes. There's a lot of fun in this league. You've got Extreme Experience in here, who has been the talk of the town for the 10 weeks that we've been going through this, because he made an amazing trade at the beginning of the year that he must have had some sort of crystal ball in front of him when he made this trade, because it turned out to be a lot better for him than everybody thought it was going to be. And then he has basically sat here and just continued to survive week after week after week. Sometimes he forgets to set a lineup, doesn't matter, still survives. It's just been an uncanny run of luck for this guy.
Yeah, I said it like I think week 1 of our guillotine pod. I said, the fantasy guys will get you. He's not going to win the league or whatever. But I didn't think he'd make it this far. I think it was like 3 weeks in a row he didn't even set a lineup and squeak by. And then this week I thought he was going to squeak by again. My team was sweating it out to the 4th quarter of this week. And then I don't know if anybody on his team is going to get picked up, to be honest with you. This might be the lowest bid of the the year. His team is not very good. Like, it's like, how did it make it this far? It's just a bunch of scraps pieced together.
And look, you can see right here. So there's Connor barely sneaking by with 7 points. So if he probably set one lineup change differently in his lineup, he probably beats Connor.
Yeah.
So
I luckily there's another. I think Cash. Cash was like right below me too. So we were all
by 5 points, man. Look at that. Just made it. So that's a pretty epic little run right there at the end. So, and I know they each had a couple players going tonight to try to make it up to where they were able to get ahead of him. So it was definitely a close call.
Cash had Cup, and I had Puka, Achan, and Tua playing all tonight. And at the beginning, Tua had a fumble and an interception. Achan only had like 5 points, and Tua, like, at the time, only had like 2 catches. And I was like, damn, I'm probably out of this. But then I think they threw it to Puka like 8 more times. And so he's the one that saved me, really.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so it's finally happened. Everybody can rest easy now. Your boy is out. PMAX Slingshot, aka Extreme Experience. You are out of here. I'm so sorry, my friend. It's been a lot of fun watching you keep on just driving these guys nuts in this league. So I really appreciate you being in it. But we don't want you no more. So bye-bye. Oh, gotta love it. Let's talk about a good team here real quick, too, because we've got a 158, which is higher than Connor. So that might be our highest. So that's our definite highest so far. It could be our highest overall across all 3 leagues here. We'll find out.
I bet he had Jamar Chase.
I bet he does. Let's look real quick and just verify that. He had Joe Burrow and Chase. He had So he's same thing like me, ended up with almost like 100 points going into the Sunday games. So, and then he ended up getting his 11 out of Kyren. Ramondre didn't have a great game, but London did well for him. And that made up for all the rest of his guys putting up a bunch of sneakers. So he still has Kyler on his bench too, who had a great day. So, I mean, he's got Kyler and Burrow. It's going to be scary if he makes it to the playoffs where he can use both of them at the same time.
Yeah.
And he's got Walker in there too. Brian Robinson, when he comes back, was looking good. Jaden Reed, Brock Bowers. So he's got a pretty solid setup. That's going to be a team to watch. Absolutely. Good job there, GLC 76. Way to run a team. So let's roll back up here real quick and check on our buys for this week, and see how much players went for. Look at that, $67 for Kyren Williams to GLC 76. I don't think we've seen a guy with $67 in the league that I'm in for like 5 weeks.
Yeah,
every single person has that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there were 6 bidders on there. The next highest bid was 18, so he could have saved us a good chunk of change by bidding a little lower, but want to make sure he got his guy. You can't hate that. Tyreek Hill went for $38. That is crazy, considering everything else. And there's Chiefs Life right below him at 21. So he had a couple of decent bids on him. That's crazy to me that there's 2 bids higher on Tyreek Hill than there was on Kyren Williams.
Yeah.
And then Drake London went for the same amount as Tyreek at 38 with 3 bids on him. The next closest bid was only $2. So GLC definitely wanted to make a stand this week and get the guys he wanted.
I bid the highest I could.
Yeah, there might be a lot of these guys that have these low bids in there just because that's all they got left, really.
Yep.
So Brian Thomas went for $18. I think that's a decent price, although they haven't looked great. Trevor Lawrence comes back, though. I'm sure he'll start playing well again.
I heard Trevor Lawrence is probably going to be out for the year.
Really?
Yeah. That's what I heard last. I don't know how accurate that is, but I saw a report that they're planning on him being out for the year.
Man, I mean, I wouldn't see any reason to rush him back if there's any kind of concern at all. Their season is gone anyway, and you're just getting a better draft pick at this point. I mean, he just signed the guy to a bunch of money. You might as well let him sit and try to pick up some solid players to put around him next year.
Yeah, they need it for sure.
Coach. Yeah, they need a new coach too. So I'm sure that whole deal will work out.
Their line's terrible as well. Their defense isn't very good. I mean, they have not played well this year at all. So
yeah, and Shad Khan is not the kind of owner to sit on his hands. He's definitely going to be making whole house changes next season. Yeah,
they at least have some young talent. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is like 24, and then Brian Thomas has looked like a great pick there. And Tate Bigsby and ETN. I mean, neither of them have played like fantastic, but they're both decent running backs as a 1-2, and they're both young. So
yeah, they're kind of like that. The Panthers back in the day when they had that double-headed D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart.
Yep.
Like that kind of like they're both like really solid backs. I wouldn't call them like a definite bell cow 1 back, but they're like really good 1B backs, So yeah, I definitely would be that same kind of thought process and keeping them both around, especially since neither of them are going to command a really high salary or anything either on their next contracts. So you can kind of get them in there and get them at a good price and, have that position kind of locked down. So the Jonathan Taylor for only $13, Nico for $11, Chase Brown went for $11. I feel like that's a pretty good steal there to get Brown, because I think he's going to be their bell cow. Even though they brought in Herbert, I still think they like Brown a lot.
Oh, yeah. Brown's played great the last 2 weeks too. So
yeah, absolutely. And that team has played good. So like that offense looking good is always a good sign for any players. And,
I don't know about team. I would say their offense, but yeah. Their defense is terrible, but
well, I mean, they were playing a pretty difficult team. It wasn't like they were out there playing against the scrub squad this week,
Yeah, but I think they've allowed like the most points and the most yards in the league this year. It's like something crazy like that. Their defense has not been good.
Yeah. Well, everybody kind of knew that about them coming into the season. That's why they were so excited about what they had to offer, because they were going to be basically same thing like they expected Washington, just constant shootouts. But it's basically hasn't happened on the Washington side as opposed to. It's basically happened exactly what we thought on the other side.
Yeah.
So not really too much else to kind of worry too much about. CJ Stroud again getting picked up there by you. That's not a bad move. Wan'Dale Robinson, I think, to drop Adam Thielen, I wouldn't even have had him on my roster anymore at this point anyway. So that's totally doable.
He probably was on the IR spot, and I don't know. but I would assume he was probably still in the IR spot, and then he made that move. I don't know.
Yeah, either that or he just never moved him off of his bench because he didn't
Yeah.
need him, and then he just was like filling up his roster depth.
Yep.
I like John Jennings picked up. I just don't really think that the right time to drop Kincaid at this point.
No, I think that was a mistake.
Oh, he didn't. Yeah, that's right. This is the one where he made the mistake. That's right. So I gave him that. He wanted to drop Pittman, which I don't hate that drop at this point. I think
he was out, and
yeah, I don't like this at all. I don't like dropping Kyle Pitts.
I don't. The worst part about that is he paid for Pitts and then dropped him for
Taysom.
He paid for like $5 or something for Pitts and then dropped him. I just didn't understand that.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, you'll see drops like this happen because of bye weeks and stuff like that. And if you have the room to stash that player, you try to sneak them onto your roster if you can, because those are types of moves that people have no choice but to make, and they don't want to drop that player just much as you want to pick them up. So it definitely try to snag them when you can, and you see those types of things happen. So that's why it's always good to be in here in the middle of the week sometimes too, and just go in there and check and see what's happened. Wednesday, people getting ready for the game Thursday, they'll make a move Wednesday. So it's always good to kind of check on these leagues midweek and just see. Fridays is another good day too, to kind of double check on everything and see if people decided to do anything after watching or checking their scores on how the Thursday game went. So stuff like that, I definitely try to just, keep an eye on. Let's go ahead and look at the team that we are going to get to pick apart. Well, not me specifically, but you guys.
Nobody.
And as he said, let's go to our better screen, because that is going to be an easier way to.
He's all the way at the bottom.
Team. So we've got Sam Darnold, Rashee White, Tony Pollard, Calvin Ridley, Darnell Mooney, Tyler Conklin, DJ Moore, DeAndre Swift, Brock Purdy, Xavier Worthy, Xavier Legette, and Tyler Lockett, and he had empty bench spots as well. So there's not even a full roster for these guys to go after. Yeah, man, you're right. I don't see a whole lot that's going to command the high dollar, man. I don't see one player that's really going to be a high command player.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple like, your DJ Moores that has some potential. Ridley has looked good. Pollard has had some weeks he's looked good. Purdy as a quarterback. I mean, but besides that, he has basically nothing. I mean, Swift has had some good weeks, but that Chicago offense has looked bad the last 2 to 3 weeks.
And there might be a whole new offensive coordinator after tomorrow. So, that might be a whole new different offense to worry about then too. So who knows what's going to happen.
We do have a question here. I mean, we can both answer. I mean, we know the answer, but we don't get a super flex spot until week 14. Is that right?
Yeah, when we start our playoffs. It's when we start our playoffs, yeah. So the 4 teams that remain at that point are going to get the extra roster spots added for the playoff run.
Yeah. So
it should be all outlined in the sheet too. If it's not in there for you, Cheeky, let me know so that I can make sure to update it so that it looks the way it should.
Yeah, it's pinned in each lead. So whatever lead you're in, just look at the pinned messages, and I believe they're all in there. It's all about this. All the leagues have the same document. So just look at that.
Oh, show. All right. So that is I mean, it's funny because that's the team that everybody has just been like just chomping at the bit to finally get out of the way. Like they just wanted it out of the way. That's all.
Well, I think a lot of people didn't even want it to leave because it was so bad. They're just like, please, stay in here. So if I have a bad week, I'm saved. But they just kept going and going and going. And they're like, okay, now you can leave.
Yeah, right. Now they wanted to get down to the nitty gritty, and they couldn't until they finally got rid of him. So I'll go through now too after this week, and I'll rearrange all the matchups for next week so that most of our matchups will be with players that are still in it, and we won't have somebody like Spartan here who was battling nobody. So that way, I try to match them up as much as I could anyway.
What's crazy is he didn't even have that bad of a week. I mean, 90 points for one of these leads isn't even that bad. I think what was the other low score that we had?
95.98. Oh, the other score on Chiefs Life was like 88, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. So he would have survived if he, another player was doing bad. So it's just crazy how, he just barely streaked by almost every week. I think you saw it. He's like third in points for with like 7 people eliminated already, and he's still going. It makes no sense.
That's funny. Yeah, so yeah, that was a fun little run there for you, brother. But it's over now. So we will move on to the third and final league of our standard guillotine leagues. This is Legend of Sleepy Hollow. This is the one league that I am still alive in. As you can see, I have a team here that has survived, and it will continue to survive for at least one more week. Thanks to our good buddy, Mean Machine 922.
See,
I'm so sorry. What's that?
He had 69. I mean, freaking Extreme Experience would have freaking smoked him. It makes no sense.
Yeah, he had a rough week, man. It was tough for him. I saw his roster because I was playing against him, obviously, so I could see his roster throughout the week. And man, it is rough. It was rough for him, and he has such a good team too. We'll go through that in a second, but the team I think is really solid. So it's really definitely one of those scenarios that is pretty like heartbreaking for somebody to be in, right? Like somebody like you having your baby team that you're so proud of falling apart on you like that. It's heartbreaking.
I mean, that's how it happens, though. The best teams never make it. It's always the ones that you never expect.
Extreme Experience.
Yeah, exactly. Making it like a week 10 or week 11 or whatever.
Oh, gotta love it. So this league, guys. So you guys know in this league there really wasn't a lot of money at all. So there isn't really a ton of people that are able to purchase a lot or put a lot of money in on these bids. So that's why you're seeing players go for so cheap right here. So it's really a different situation in this league compared to the other leagues. Whereas like these guys, I think there's only a couple of us that have double digits left, and everybody else is either 0 or less than 5, I think. So it's really going to be kind of an interesting last push for the playoffs here with these few weeks coming up. Terry McLaurin was the highest bidder off the board. He went for $22. That was the next highest bid was only $4. So Zoobs definitely got the guy he wanted. Good job, Zoobs. But I know that probably hurt you a little bit when you realized how much money you could have saved by bidding a little less on him. But I totally understand why you did what you did. You picked up James Cook for $10, which I thought was a pretty good pickup there. And I think that's the last of your fob too, isn't it?
I picked up 2 players. I picked up him and Puka, and I think that's the last of my. I have $1 left actually.
Oh, okay.
I have picked up him and Puka, and I have $1 left.
Yeah, which I mean, if you're gonna spend your wad, you might as well get a couple of good guys for him. So Puka went for 10 too, and the next highest bid was only $1 less. So you were definitely not going to get Puka at that point if you didn't bid the $10. You could have dropped your bid a little bit for Cook, but you didn't know that. So
yeah.
And then you can see a bunch of guys. Cedric Tillman went for $3. Aaron Rodgers went for $2, which I mean, you're dropping Dak, so I understand why you did it, brother. But man, it's got to hurt too, huh? Aaron spending money for Aaron at this point. Rome went for $2 to Mean Machine, who's going to be right back out there for available again. Keon went for $1. Ferguson. This was prior to Keon being actually ruled out too. I ended up getting Evan Ingram for free, which kind of surprised me. I thought that somebody would have bid at least $1 on him. Javonte Williams went for free to Ludes. Zoobs got Demario Douglas for free, and this is the pickup of the night. Kyler Murray for free, which is going right back into the wire again because Mean Machine got him. So other than that, we had a couple of other pickups that happened later in the week. Nothing too noteworthy, really. Really nothing too noteworthy. I do like to see the Jonathan Brooks pickup for you if you have the room on your bench to
I dropped him. I had to drop him because he came off of IR.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, he came off IR and I didn't have the room. But I like your pickup. I just didn't like who you dropped. You picked up.
The Austin Eckler for Ridley. Yeah. You know why I did that? Honestly, I only did that as a block move because Brian Robinson had been ruled out, and I didn't want somebody else to pick up Eckler and get the points into the starting lineup for them. So I picked him up solely to have him on my bench, which I know it's kind of a dick move, guys, but hey, man, this is fantasy football, baby. These are the types of things that you do sometimes to make sure other people don't get the win.
Yeah. I mean, doing that for free is nice, but if you wasted $1 on it or whatever, it would have been bad. But I was just looking at I think we should go about the money in these leagues. I mean, in this league specifically, because like you said, there's not many teams with even double digits it's mostly zeros. If I had, I think the teams left is mostly zeros.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly it. The teams left is pretty much all zeros, with the exception of myself.
There's like 3 teams.
And Trevor. I think we are the only ones with triple digits, and then everybody else is under $10. I think there's a couple with 7, and then there's a few under that.
Yeah.
I'm not triple digits, sorry, double digits.
Yeah, you should be able to look at them. I don't know the mobile or the site.
Yeah, it's a pain in the butt on here to try to.
Oh, it's on the right. It's on the right. I see it now.
Oh yeah, see, here it is. Yeah. See, but the thing is, it's hard because we don't know like who's if they have a tie in their record, guys, then they're most likely eliminated already. So if you see a tie, then you know that that's pretty much for sure an eliminated person. But you can see here's Ludes. He has $0. Zoobs has $9. Which he's just spent, you saw how much he spent this week. So he dropped a good amount of money this week. So he was sitting okay up until he went and got all those guys. And then you've got the next one left is right here, which is
B. Bennett has the most. Yeah, he has 27.
He has 27. Yeah, so he's got the most left right now. And then Trevor has 10. I have 13. And the rest of you guys have 0, 4, 0.
Well, he just got eliminated. I think I'm the last person besides the ones you just went over that has even any money left and have $1.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because we did just get eliminated with $4 left on his waiver. So yeah, so now you're only looking at you have $1, I have 13, Trevor has 10, B. Bennett has 27, Zoobs has 9. That's all the money that's left in this entire league.
Yeah, I think 4 out of the 8 or 3 out of the 8 have $0.
Yeah, which I mean, at this point, like because we're getting to the point where there is so little money left, they're still going to be able to pick up players even without money. Because if you put in your claims and everybody who has put in a claim has no money left, then it's just going to go by waiver order. So at some point you're going to be able to get a guy. So always put your claims in even without money. Just go in and put a claim in for every guy that you want. And set yourself up to where if you have that option to get one of them, you're in that waiver pool for them.
Yeah, but now everybody, all y'all are going to be putting in $1 bid, for most of these guys. I mean, a couple of these guys, I don't want to ruin strategy or anything for y'all, but like there's nobody that should be going basically over $10. Maybe $11 you might throw out if there's a big name, but most of these people are not going to go over 10.
Yeah, Trevor's bringing up a good point too, that all these guys, like, not only are they gonna, they're gonna try to get the guys, but who are they gonna drop? Because our teams are pretty deep. Like you saw what I had to do to get Austin Eckler on my roster. I didn't want to drop Calvin Ridley. I had no choice. He was the only option on my roster that I felt I could drop. So, that's what's gonna end up happening. And then you're gonna they might pick up a guy and pay for him, and then the guy they drop is the guy that you're down to pick up, and you can end up getting him and when he comes off waivers the next day. So you're going to be able to get a builder even if you're out of money. It's just not going to be as easy.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah, so I don't think we went over this, but I think the trade deadline is passed. I don't know if that's actually what it's supposed to be, or I just know I got a notification or whatever that said the trade deadline has passed. So
yeah, we didn't want it to run all the way up to the playoffs because I just didn't feel like that was necessary. I feel like at this point, because like right now, like in this league, for example, you can tell like for me with guillotine leagues, it's all about getting FOB for trading and stuff like that. It's kind of helping build your FOB up. And since there's really no FOB left in this league, there's really not a lot of options for me to trade. I've actually gone through a couple of times before the end of the trade deadline just to try to see if there was any options I could get out there for a trade last minute before the deadline came in, and I just didn't see anything that was working because there's no FOB. So it was hard. And, without doing like a 2-for-1 deal, there really wasn't much of a move to be made.
What we need to do, this is something we can do way later on, but like at the end of this, see like who is the most overpaid player like throughout the year. And I bet like a majority of these players are going to be in this league that because of the money has gone so fast, like even compared to the other leagues, like I bet like there's like a big mistake a couple of times in this league.
Oh, guaranteed. Yeah. I mean, this is one of the leagues that I started out the first week picking up. I think it was Jonathan Taylor, I want to say, after week 1. And he went, I got him for like 127. And then so I think that kind of set a bar for people expecting like this is what it has to be in order to get those big guys. So like for the first like 5-6 weeks, I think everybody was top guy was going for over $100. So and then we had a lot of guys that got eliminated with a lot of fob.
Yeah, we did.
So was another issue too. Like this league specifically, guys were getting eliminated with a ton of fob left. So yeah, it was definitely one of those situations that we just kept getting that kind of like perfect bullet as far as the hitting that team, which is again what happened this week. Good transition right on into looking at Team Mean Machine 922's team and what we're going to get to pick apart. Because this is look at this roster and tell me that you're not surprised he got knocked out this week, but how good his team is.
Yeah,
he's got Daniels, Jahmyr Gibbs, J.K. Dobbins, Malik Neighbors, A.J. Brown, Dalton Kincaid, Brian Thomas, and Roma Dunze was his starting lineup. Every single one of them underperformed.
Yeah, especially Daniels. I mean, I understand. I mean, Pittsburgh has a pretty good defense, but he did bench Murray, which I mean, I know we're foreshadowing just a little bit, but he benched Murray, but I don't even think if he plays Murray, he survives based on how bad the rest of his team did. So,
yeah, he just had like one of those crazy bad weeks. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs has been a stud, and he only got him 12 points. J.K.'s been doing well for most of the season. He only got him 8 points. Even A.J. Brown, who was his highest scoring player, got him only 15 points, still underperformed his projections. So it was just a terribly bad week for him across the board. Even his bench, he didn't have anybody he could play. He had a lot of guys on buys, and he had one guy, Xavier Legette, who I would not have started either over any of the other guys like he played. So he kind of got like just that perfect week where he got screwed by like this is the week he probably looked at his lineup and went, man, if there's going to be a week for me that's going to be a tough one, it's this one. And it came back to exactly the way he thought it would, because that's basically what happened. Like I said, he puts in Murray, he's going to add 22 points to his overall score, which still puts him in the 80s.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I said. I don't even know if he survives. But, I mean, honestly, he really didn't have, even with the bye, I mean, besides maybe Brock Bowers, the bye weeks really didn't hurt him that much either, because it's like Romeo Dobbs, you're not really playing. Cedric Tillman, maybe, because, he's the one. Nick Chubb, obviously, you're not starting over either of his running backs. So it's like, I mean, Mike Evans, obviously, if he was healthy, he's going to be starting for you, and Bowers if he's not on bye week. But, he had such a bad week. I'm not sure any of these guys actually help him because of what his actual whole team did. So,
yeah, that was definitely rough for him, man. But I mean, there's going to be some really good players out there available this week. And there's, like we talked about earlier, not a lot of fobs. So it's going to be a really interesting breakdown for how this one's going to turn out. This going fob session here. So
yeah, I don't know what's going to. This is going to be kind of crazy. Yeah, it's going to be kind of crazy. It's going to be kind of crazy what happens in this league because there's no money. So it's like there's so many guys. I would say Gibbs, Neighbors, Brown, Dobbins, all for sure should be picked up with money. And then the rest of these guys, most of them probably should be rostered, but how the only guys with money probably can't pick all of them up. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see what happens.
Right. Trevor's talking about compare this team to the extreme team.
Yeah.
It's funny. Even without the fob, this team will probably end up garnering more money overall than that team.
Exactly. What's crazy is that team. I mean, freaking Calvin Ridley performed better than any of these guys. He outperformed Neighbors and AJ Brown combined, and it's that was his best player as Calvin Ridley. And it's what?
I know, it's unbelievable. I mean, he's looking like somebody who's start worthy now that they got DeAndre out there, and he's basically getting all the targets. So it's definitely one of those kind of guys you didn't anticipate was going to be looking good, but you did not think even with that he would be better than AJ Brown per se.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
Yeah. And because of those underperformers, you, my friend, Mean Machine 922, are the turd team of the week. Man, that's a brutal stench coming off that squad. Oh, my God. Wow. Well, at least we don't have to worry about smelling that again. Let's hit that flush button and move on, huh? Woo! Brutal. So, and actually, that was a real reaction, guys, because I have a 14-year-old dog behind me who decided that he wanted to really influence that turd team of the week moment and let one rip right at the right moment to make it really difficult for me to breathe. So that was a genuine reaction. Oh man, the poor guy. It's consistent. I light a lot of candles. All right, let's move on to our triathlon. I'm really excited about this league because this league is officially going into our guillotine portion for the second week. Now we're going to have the opportunity to pick up 2 teams worth of players, guys. Not 1, but 2. Passing the savings on to you. Had to was that the wacky wavy inflatable flailing arms man?
I don't know. You're too old for me.
Bro, that's a Family Guy reference. How is that too old for you?
I haven't watched that much Family Guy. I mean, there was like 30 seasons of Family Guy.
Killing me, Smalls. You've never seen the wacky wavy inflatable flailing arms man commercials?
Yeah, I've seen that, but like to get that reference like off the top of my head, that'd be kind of crazy.
Oh man. See, that's because you don't have one of those movie brains, brother. It's okay though. We still love you. All right, so let's look through our teams here and see who is going to be the unlucky participants being chopped on their way out the door today.
Okay, so do you want to specify how they get dropped? Isn't it by just correct me if I'm wrong. It's by records, right? So not by points.
That is a question for Alex. And Alex, if you are listening, you need to answer us because Alex has taken over this portion of it, so I am not 100% up to speed, and I do not want to misspeak on it. So, but I thought it was going to be by points. So if it's by record, then it's going to be the lowest 2 teams would be. Are these updated yet? 5-13.
No, they're not.
Like we're still not updated.
So I think we should just, without trying to confuse anybody, we should just go over what was bid last week, and then going forward, we can go over who will be.
Yeah, we can clarify it and come back next week with the right breakdown.
I just don't want to confuse anybody about who's actually getting eliminated, because I believe we had a conversation, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but I believe it's by records, not by points, like originally thought by some people. I don't know. Before we get clarification from Alex, I don't want to confuse anybody else. So
yeah. And guys, and just so everybody knows too, like that's why we're doing this league as a free league, because this is our pilot league. And I like to emphasize the word pilot, as in we are literally creating this as we go. So like some of the things that we thought we were going to do to start the season, and even, after a few weeks into the season, we might have had to change here or there or make some adjustments because we're starting to see some of the minor flaws maybe in the system that we're trying to create here. So we're looking to, kind of like game testers, basically. Like these are our different levels that we're testing as a group, and we're game testing through this to get this set up. So by 2025, we're going to have all this stuff worked out. It's going to be really seamless and easy to understand for everybody. So right now, we're still kind of, all of us, including myself, are still in the process of like fine tuning things. And I don't want to misspeak either, because there's always movement going on between Alex, myself, and Scott, going back and forth talking about this stuff. And we actually have coming up here this week, we're going to be talking about, this moving forward and getting things kind of lined out with what we're planning on doing. So definitely have more information Monday, next pod for you guys to go over it. We'll probably even talk about it on Tuesday or Friday's pod coming up here throughout the week too. So, but yeah, let's do exactly what you said, Connor. Let's go back through what was actually paid for and picked up last week. And then we'll worry about what happened as far as knockouts when we start talking about this next week.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I just don't want to confuse anybody anymore, because I know there's people confused. I was confused as well, because a couple people were saying a couple different things. The sheet says a couple different things. So I think once y'all get it ironed out, like you said, it's a pilot. Everybody's new to this. So everybody's just trying to figure it out to learn, how it'll be next year. So
basically, you 2 teams, I've got at least about 7 more days here to rest easy and know that you're not going to get called out by me on air at least until next Monday, right? So you guys got a nice week to sit there and just worry about what I'm going to have to say.
Yep. Let's specify this league only has $100 fab compared to our other guillotines, which has $200. So
yes.
The numbers are always going to be lower.
Some of that prior because you redraft, you were able to use it in redraft scenario too. So you might not have 100 even by now. So
yeah, exactly.
But which I'm one of them. I had spent almost half of my FOB.
Well, you needed it because of how rough you started out. Because you went 0-6. Well, I mean, I'm not trying to talk shit or whatever, but you went 0-6 and you had to pick up some players to even survive to this point. And I think you turned it around just a little bit. And you weren't eliminated first like it was looking at the beginning. And it looks like you're going to survive at least one more week. So
yeah, well, I'm sitting at 6-12 right now prior to the update on the website. So as of right now, anyways, it shows me at 6-12. And I know I won my matchup this week. I won my matchup this week. I don't see a league listed.
Well, 132 is way higher than the league median, so you should be good.
Yeah, so I'll jump up another couple of games this week. Yeah. So if it is roster based, either way, if it's roster based or score based, I'm still going to be safe. Yeah. So we'll see for at least one more week. I do have a team that needs some help though, so I'm gonna have to improve it if I want to continue to survive. But we've got Achan who went for $85. Knowing our FOB limits at $100, that's a pretty hefty sum right there.
That's basically. I mean, that's higher than, and percentage wise, that's higher than anybody in any of our guillotines has went before. Because that's basically what $170 out of 200, and the highest we had was like 127 or something.
Mm-hmm. It's 85% of his FOB, so that's pretty.
Exactly.
That's crazy. And the next highest bid was $51, so he overbid by good $30, $34. That's a pretty hefty overbid there.
Yeah, especially with, like you said, with $100, that's a way large overbid.
Yeah, and this is all brand new to us. It's just like it is to him. So he just didn't know what to do yet. Everybody was still we all had kind of confusion on how this was gonna play out. Nobody knew how much people were actually gonna go for. You can see here, Jahmyr Gibbs went for $57, and he went to Sarah, and then the next few bids were right under it at $51.45. So they were all pretty close in the top group there. Caleb Williams went for $51. That looks like a bad pickup now after this week,
especially with how much he overbid. But it is super flex, so it's a little different than our guillotine leagues as well, because we just went to super flex, unlike the other guillotines, which won't go to the playoffs. So the quarterback should be a little higher because we're going to Superflex, but obviously Caleb Williams going for half your FOB is not ideal.
Yeah, absolutely not. Puka went for $41. He had 15 total bids. The next highest guy was actually 45, but he couldn't get him because of a previous transaction. I'm assuming his Achan move.
Yeah.
So he ended up going to D-Payne for 41.
Yeah, I'm sure he's wishing he only spent the 45 on Puka rather than the 85 on Achan.
Yeah, right. I bet you're right there. Maui got the Matthew Stafford for 37. That's a solid pickup, especially since Alex tried to bid 51 on him and couldn't do it because he had already got Caleb. Devontae Adams went for $31. That's scary now. Alex looks like he spent almost all, if not all, of his FOB. He spent 51 there. He spent 82 total between him and Devontae. So he's down to at least less than $20 now.
Yeah, and he needed it too because he was, like I said, he's one of those teams at the bottom of the standings. So he was trying to help his team quite a bit. But he did overbid. I mean, it's not like he bid perfectly because he's at the bottom. He overbid, but hey, when you have to win, you got to make these moves. So
yeah, 100%. Najee went for 28. Jameson went for 18. There was 12 bids on Najee too. He was next closest was 21. So you could see all these bids have actually, other than those couple of overbids that we saw, they're all pretty close in there. Jameson went for double the next highest bid, but at $18, it's still not a terrible bid at all. So I don't hate the difference there nearly as much as the original Achan.
The only thing I would say is I think these are still. I mean, I know this was the first week, so nobody, like you said, nobody knew what they're doing, but this is still higher than what these guys were going for with $200.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely, yeah. And I think it was because this too, like this kind of might have been like a little bit of a trigger of everybody just being kind of like itching to start adding players. And like, because they had to wait 8 weeks to get to this point. So when the first two teams got cut, everybody was like chomping at the bit. Like, it's like when they opened the Walmart doors on Black Friday, you know, everybody's just running in there, snagging up all the TVs and everything. So like that's basically it, but I consider to have happened here. And everybody still had for the most part, had a good amount of money left. So it wasn't like there was a shortage of cash either, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, then Juwan Jennings looks like that might be a solid pickup. He got a lot of targets in that offense now with Ayuk out. Odunze is another decent pickup. Waddle looked like he actually got some targets, so maybe with Tua he'll start coming back to life. I don't like Isaiah Likely. I think he's kind of getting phased out of that offense, especially that you paid more for him than TJ Hawkinson went for.
I think Zubik has had the best pickup so far. I mean, $5 for TJ Hawkinson, who looked great. And obviously didn't pay much.
I like this pickup for you of Isaiah Pacheco. If you can survive long enough for him to come back, that could be a solid, like that could be a league winning type pickup.
Yeah, because I thought it was by standings, and I was, one of the top in the top half. I was just like, hopefully I can make it long enough without the lead where I can have a running back, because my running backs are my weakest point of, everybody knows they're my weakest point of every team, but especially this team, because this is 20 teams. And I waited to pick up, I think my first running back was Jerome Ford, who doesn't, he's not even the starter there. My second running back was Ezekiel Elliott, who also doesn't play basically he doesn't play anymore. So those were my two starting running backs to start the year. And they haven't, luckily I was able to grab Tyrone Tracy, and he's my running back one now, but I've had to plug and play. I think I plugged and played Ray Davis last week in this league, or somebody like that. I've plugged and played Cam Akers in this league. And then this week I did the Broncos RB2 estimate.
Yeah.
So my running backs are terrible. So I was glad to be able to pick up Pacheco. Hopefully I can, actually use him.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out. Definitely. There really wasn't much else that looks like that sticks off the page too much.
There's my right there.
Yeah, I don't mind getting Zach Charbonnet there. That's not a bad move for you. I think if something happens to Walker, Sharps is the instant starter. So
I might have to play Sharps anyway. Like I said, I have no running backs.
Yeah, right. So yeah, there really wasn't a whole lot else other going on there. So you can see, we'll go look at the standings real quick. Sarah and Brees, the trophy plus me make 3. Jay Morris 410. I should have just went that route instead, huh? They're both at 15-3 record wise, and then right behind them is our good buddy Scott and Zoobs right there. They're at 13-5 for Scott. Zoobs is right behind him at 12-6. He is tied currently with you at 12-6. And then right below them, we've got 3 teams at 11-7. We got the Dealers Back, Short Stack 11, and Sorry for Cussing, Survive and Advance is his team name. And then we got 1, 2, 3 more teams tied at 10-8. So you could tell it's just like one game difference. You could really 2 games. If you can win both your matchups in a week, you could potentially take a pretty big leap up the standings.
Yep.
So right there, 10-8. We've got In Henry We Trust TB76 and America's Fantasy Team, our buddy Tortoise, who's in the audience right now, sitting there at 10-8 as well. And then I'm a Rich Biatch, El Super Biesto at 10-8. Sitting right there with him. We have one 9-9 team all by his lonesome there, Soul Stealer, sitting at 9-9. And then just below that, you start to get into the losing squads, or at least losing records, I should say. One team at 7-11 is our buddy Maui James. And then right below him at 6-12, we got myself tied with Jenny B. And below that, we start to bring up the rear here. At 5-13, the 3 teams at the rear are Westlex, Hell's Finest, and D Payne. So I'm assuming that those guys are potential cuts, but I am not 100% until we see what happens with Alex. We will find that out for you guys by next episode. But right as of right now, that's kind of where we're all sitting record-wise prior to the outcome of this week. So once this updates and actually includes the records for this week, then we'll see where everybody moves around to.
Yeah.
So awesome. So that is our 4 leagues for today, guys. Is there anything that you want to talk about, Connor, before we sign off here? Anything that fantasy-wise that happened this week, or something that, prediction maybe you have coming up, moving forward for a player? Anything, any nuggets you got for us?
Not really. I mean, I actually didn't get to watch as much football as I usually do. I usually am like the guy, that sits there and watches all 16 games or whatever there is that week, but I had to work this past weekend, so I didn't actually get to watch that much football. This next week I'll be, glued to the screen again, but everybody, I mean, I was able to watch, the Monday night game and the Thursday night game, and, Ja'Marr Chase is probably going to keep doing what he's done. Like you said, their defense is not good, so they're going to have to put up points every week, and Burrow and him connect like they have the last few seasons. It's going to be scary. So I think Ja'Marr Chase is probably wide receiver 1 moving forward. Burrow is on, I know Scott hates Burrow, but Burrow looks like a top 4 play or so, top 5 play at quarterback.
Not only does Scott hate Burrow, but Scott was hating on Ja'Marr Chase in the beginning of the year too, because he was all talking about how there was going to be issues with Chase, and I'm not taking anybody who's on an injury problem, blah, blah, blah. Remember all that? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hey, we're all wrong at some point. So, I mean, Murray looked good this week. He's probably popped back up into the top 12 after this week, but I thought Murray was going to produce like this week every single week, and he really hasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Lamb was a guy that everybody had in their top 3 or top 4 of receivers, and he hasn't, not to his own fault most of the time, but he hasn't really produced like that. Same with Tyreek Hill.
None of the top receivers really, except for maybe Justin Jefferson and Ja'Marr Chase. CeeDee Lamb hasn't produced. Tyreek Hill hasn't produced. Amon-Ra really hasn't produced to the level you thought he would.
Yeah,
Garrett Wilson hasn't produced to the level we thought he would. I mean, there's a lot of players. Michael Pittman is horrible compared to where he was drafted.
I would give Wilson a pass a little bit. He's really come back from what he had the first basically 2 or 3 weeks of the season. I think he's back in the top 12. So, and that's about where he was drafted, like 6th or 7th receiver, maybe.
After this week, he might not be anymore because they didn't have a great week this week, did he?
I think he still had like 10, I think. So, I mean, obviously not, what you want out of your 2nd round, 3rd round pick, but I mean, compared to like Michael Pittman or Olave, I mean, even
Olave is another one. Yeah. London, another one. I mean, he's done okay, but he hasn't been at the level everybody anticipated.
Hey, I want to go through the top 5. I think we're a little off here. I don't know if it's just our feels or what, but here's the top 5. It's Chase, Jefferson, obviously, and then it's Wilson, London, CeeDee Lamb. So,
I think that's going to change though. London might stay up there as he should. I think London is a guy that I like I said, I think I thought better of him for the start of the season. I just haven't seen quite as much as I had hoped from him, but I do like him, and I think he'll stay up there as long as Cousins stays healthy. But Lamb, I think, will drop out for sure.
I think because of quarterback play, he'll probably drop out. But like we said, it's those 5, and then it's Amon-Ra, and that's another name we said. I just don't think any fantasy players besides, I would say maybe Ja'Marr Chase has produced like we thought they were going to.
Yeah, I think Ja'Marr Chase is maybe the one that's actually produced more than people anticipated at this point.
Yeah. He's number 1. I think he's number 1 overall skill player. Yep. And then, you have some quarterbacks like Lamar, who's outproduced even his draft stock, Baker, Burrow. So,
yeah. Oh, Jenny's saying to check the updated stats here. So let me go bust the website up and see. It looks like it did update. So let me pull it up for us so we can just quickly run through the new standings. So we got Sarah, who won both her games. So she went up and she actually passed him with the points for. So she took over the first spot, even though they have the same record still. So then Zoobs jumped up to 3rd. Ludes jumped up to 4th. You jumped up to 5th, right? Weren't you in
I stayed there.
They jumped you because of points for?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, no, I just stayed. I was 5th before this week, and I'm 5th now.
Okay. Sorry for Cussin and Trevor. I think they stayed the same too, I feel like. It doesn't look like there's been a lot of change in the middle section too much. Do you see anything I'm missing here?
No, just on the phone I can look at. Tortoise moved up 3 spots, and Sorry for Cussing moved up 2. Short Stack moved down 2. Everybody else basically stayed right where they were. You moved up 1. Jenny B moved up 1. Maui James moved down 2. And then we have Wes, Hell's Finest, and D-Pain all stayed the same, but Hell's Finest has lost 7 in a row, which is kind of crazy. D-Pain lost both this week, and I think D-Pain, regardless of how we do it, is going to be eliminated. I think he had the lowest point.
They both might be the same, right?
So if we do it by points, it's going to be It's going to be D-Pain and Soul S. Teeler.
Yep.
But if we do it by record, it's going to be D-Pain and Hell's Finest. So Daniel's unfortunately eliminated this week, no matter what, no matter how we do it. And then based on how we go about it, it's going to be between.
Yeah. So we know we're going to have Aaron Rodgers, Jonathan Taylor, Raheem Mostert, Malik Neighbors, Jermaine Burton, who he probably just played for the week thinking he was going to do well. Dalton Kincaid, Jamari Douglas, Isaac Garendo, Tua Tagovailoa. And then on his bench, he had Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, Jacoby Myers, Jameson Williams, and Puka Nacua, which I'm shocked that he didn't actually play him.
I don't know exactly what happened there. I think he might have just took the week off and said he's packing it up anyway, but this is what it looks like off the top of my head, because I think he paid a lot for Puka, didn't he?
I believe so, or maybe he just didn't have time to get back in there and set his.
I don't know. It's a free league, so who really cares that much? But I think that it looks like he just forgot to set his lineup.
Yeah, but that's a pretty solid squad that we're going to have an opportunity to snag. So you can look through here real quick too, and we can see where we're at with like waivers. It looks like we've got if Hell's Finest doesn't get eliminated, he's still got $65, so he's sitting okay. I still got 48. I'm doing all right. Soul Stealer still has all of it. He still has 100 left, so he can do whatever he wants. Henry We Trust still has 89. We still got another 100 for Ken too. So Ken he could do some damage. And we got like everybody up at the top here has a lot of money left, except for Sarah. Sarah's down to $2. Everybody else is over 65, 70 looks like the lowest. So it's going to be a pretty active week again. I anticipate a lot of movement, a lot of that FOB getting spent. Hopefully all you guys with lots of money spend it so that I can get back to being close to the middle and not being at the bottom of the list. So awesome. All right. Well, let's pull that on out of here. And that sounds like a good time for us to roll on out. And we can pick this thing up again next Monday and see who our second eliminated team is going to be, huh?
Yep, for sure. Yeah, we'll have to clarify a couple things, but I think besides that, that league's going to be fun. So
absolutely. So you guys join us tomorrow on our Tuesday podcast, or Tuesday at 4 p.m. Ballsville Pod. We'll be going over, everything that happened this weekend in football and some fantasy nugs and news the way we always do. And also an update and finishing off our raffles for the donations that were made for our Ballsathon. So we were able to collect over $1,000 total on that. And I'm in the process right now of getting the donations sent over to him through GoFundMe, and that he should have that here hopefully soon, tomorrow, potentially, is the game plan. So he's really thankful. He wanted me to make sure to relay to everybody that he's very thankful for everything that you guys did, and all the donations that came in are going to go to really, really good use for him. So we'll have all that for you guys tomorrow on the pod. And for myself, Sklemmy, and my buddy here, Connor, we will see you guys next time on the Chopping Block.